Well, everybody, this is Don and Tom with the vlog of many things. We're doing an impromptu video today, doing a quick live to talk a little bit about paper prices, the recent announcement of DTRPG increasing prices fairly drastically, according to uh, Eric Tenkar's Tavern.
Yeah, I believe I got the same email from
Yeah,
Drive Through warning me. I caught Eric's video and I says, yeah, I'll look at that email later.
yeah. Well, I had a Zoom call last night with my Chinese supplier, and I had a video call this morning with a Canadian paper broker out of Canada. And the question is, Drive-Through RPG has announced an increase in paper prices, but Ingram Lightning Source has not. And is Drive-Through RPG legitimately raising prices because they got notified? Are they price gouging or what? And you know, I think you first have to understand a little bit about what exactly is going on here. Um,
Well,
I Go ahead.
I'm from a state that has traditionally been part of the paper industry, although this NAFTA and the globalization has actually driven the paper mills out of business here in Maine,
Yeah,
more or less. There's still a few here and there, but most of the logging, and there is a crazy amount of logging. Like tree huggers would pull their hair out and have a cow sideways over the amount of logging that goes on, and all of these trees are shipped to Canada to be turned into paper.
yeah, and,
I find
and
it. I'm really interested in what your Canadian paper broker has to say because I know all of. I mean, it's crazy how much logging goes on, and the logging trucks are notorious for not slowing down heavy loads,
mhm.
and they just barrel right through. And so
Well,
yeah,
in order to understand this, you have to first understand, and I'll make this really brief. Is when a tree's cut down, and let's just say they're going to use this tree for paper.
right.
Okay, it's not sent to a paper mill and made in the paper. It's actually sent to a mill and turned into what they call pulp. And that is the basis to make paper. So basically, the paper pulp market, which is a commodity, so
Mm-hmm.
it fluctuates depending. That's what basically dictates and drives the paper price. And when you take a look at the paper pulp commodity pricing, okay, it's right now at a virtual 14-month low
Mm.
today. Now they release paper prices, or they release the current paper pulp price once every 2 months. And the new pulp price is due to be released on March 13th in 2 days. But to give an example, it's currently sitting at about $225.65 a ton.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, the high point of 2024 was in August where it was 239. So it is much lower right now than it was even last summer. Now, why then is Drive-Through RPG raising their prices, and they're doing so oddly, black and white versus color? Could it be because of ink coming from China in the anticipated tariff?
Um,
So
so you're saying that the excuse of paper prices going up is a lot of smoke and blowing
yeah,
smoke up our butts, our
I
collective.
absolutely think it is because according to my Chinese supplier, they're not worried about it. Even with the anticipated tariff, keep in mind one thing: Trump announced, as a matter of fact, that he's putting a 30-day moratorium on the tariffs.
I thought
He
that was
did
just for the automakers.
No, actually, they anticipate pretty much across the board the broad tariffs. He's doing it to help the auto industry because the auto industry touches so many parts of the industry. Everything it really affects because steel, plastic, all the bits and pieces. So, um, my Chinese supplier said something very interesting, and they kind of explained it like this. He goes, they expect, okay, this is the way paper prices have been doing. They're going down since August. They expect on the 13th them to actually crop back up, but they really don't see a massive crop up. As a matter of fact, it's very well possible because it's a commodity, and with the anticipated tariffs, the paper price may even drop further in an anticipatory measure for when the tariffs come. Those tariffs can be absorbed a little bit
Right.
in the paper price. And my Canadian supplier said the same thing. And I asked the Canadian supplier a question this morning, and I asked Mike Johns a question. I said, my question is this is there's a large print on demand operation that utilizes lightning source, and they've anticipated a fairly large increase in black and white, or black and white versus color, etc. And there's really no reason to do it because they have not been notified of an increase. There's an
Right.
anticipatory increase of, let's just say, the 25%.
So this kind of smacks of thinking back, particularly during other times when
COVID.
there's a little bit of recession,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, oil producing countries suddenly jack their price, and so like right now today they announced they're jacking the price of a gallon, barrel of oil,
Hmm.
and the gas stations changed the price today.
Yes,
Like
because
like gas in their tank suddenly magically got more expensive.
absolutely. And see again, because what is oil? Oil is a commodity.
Right.
And paper is a commodity. And so what they're trying, what a lot of times companies do, and it's usually not on the, because I make games, it's not on the end company Wizard Tower game slash drive through RPG slash level. It's more upon the larger mills that purchase the paper, because you purchase paper in two ways. You're either purchasing offset or you're purchasing digital. Whenever you purchase offset, usually when you buy offset, those large, like 8 foot wide rolls you see look like gigantic rolls of toilet paper, but they're 8 foot wide and such, or large flat stock sheets. I mean, massively large flat stock sheets that they get loaded by a pallet, and the machine suction cups them like, if anyone's ever watched the US dollar being made, big sheets like that type
Yeah.
stuff. Digital tends to go ahead, generally will use, unless it's a full-fledged commercial digital press, they will use flat stock, but larger digital presses can use a roll.
They're printing in signatures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the kicker here is what you have to look at is, why would POD drive through RPG raise their prices like they are then? And let me real quickly do something, because I did not do it. My apologies. Let me pop the overlay on here, the chat. Um,
Oh yeah, I forgot. Did we have any comments?
Not yet, but we got several people watching us right now.
So
So, the question becomes is this, is drive through RPG, why is drive through RPG doing this? Is it an anticipatory move to say, we have not been notified by Lightning Source yet, and we're just going to do this because we need to be safe? Because I've checked this morning, and over the course of the last couple of days, I've been checking on ink prices. There's no there's no anticipation that they're going to be raised, even if there is a tariff placed on them. Okay, like my supplier in China said, they said that if, as an example, there is a tariff, if these tariffs do go through, and keep in mind one thing, Trump could still, at the last minute, he's been known to do this, go ahead and say, well, I'm going to delay us another 30, 60 days, like he did with
I
this. So,
think I think Trump has a habit of playing chicken with people. He comes out with a real extreme position. It's part of his negotiating. He really wants to be over here, but he
yeah,
stakes out the real extreme position so
yeah,
that people blink a little bit, and then he
yep,
gets what he wants. He didn't really want that, and I've seen this going on since
yeah,
the first time he ran for president. I'm like watching what's going on
yeah,
here, and we have predictions
yeah,
of nuclear war with North Korea going
yeah,
on, and then it doesn't happen, and I'm like, Yeah,
Let's face it, Trump loves to beat his chest and he wants to be the deal maker.
yeah. This is what he does.
The
This is
art of the deal.
no dispute.
Yep.
Well,
So,
yeah. If you hadn't read Art of the Deal, then you're behind the eight ball on figuring out what's going on. But
yeah.
this is, I never take the first thing he says with anything more than
Yeah.
a grain of salt. It's just he's throwing it out there to see if he gets people riled up.
But
It,
see, this was the interesting thing that my Chinese supplier said because they also supply they supply commercial ink and toner for commercial printing. Like they said, they go, there's things that they can do because they don't, and China beats their chest too. It's all just pandering and shield rattling, clinking the sword against your shield. But like what they said to me last night was really interesting is that, as an example, let's say a 25% tariff or a 12 or 15% tariff goes through. They have the ability to, although they're not going to do the full amount, they can adjust their pricing, like as an example, on things like ink and toner and consumables. They can adjust their prices a little bit down because even though, you know, even though the tariff doesn't quote unquote cost them anything, they know that it will in the end because it'll affect businesses from purchasing from them because the businesses like me, I don't want to have to sit there absorb, X amount of percent.
you're going to go looking for a cheaper supplier,
Absolutely.
which
So what they said is they
the
can
way
drop
it
their
is.
prices down. Mark Morrison, thanks for tuning in. Mark says, I used to work at HarperCollins Return Center warehouses. It might be that they are changing to print on demand supplier, upgrading their own machines. Yes and no, Mark. Because what they did is I believe the announcement said in response to the anticipated tariffs. I believe so. I may be wrong.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that they did a whole shake up of their print on demand business where there were certain things, if like that's how you were having your product printed, you're going to have to change it, and it was no longer going to be able to be done that way. I think Center Staple.
Yes, because what they did is I believe they were phasing out of one way of excuse me of the one way to print, and they were going to digital. So they were going from direct offset to digital, and when that happens, page layout has to change. The way the way you lay the book out has to change. And real quick,
My
return.
point on that would be is that I think they've already recently in the past 5 years changed equipment. So
Yes,
kind of I don't know.
and there's one other point
You're wrong.
to bring up here to Mark's point is, and Mark makes a good question here, but Mark, I think where I don't think that though is, I don't think that they're doing that. And the reason why is because then you contact Ingram and Lightning Source. They're not advertising increased prices on books. They're not advertising an increased price on anticipating anything. So and Drive Through RPG does not do their own printing. They go to Lightning Source, which is a derivative of Ingram, and they go to them. So, like as an example, Mark, if you order, Joe Block, the Greyhawk Grognard's latest book on orcs, and you get the hard copy of that, what's going to happen is you're going to get a package in the mail. It's going to say Lightning Source.
Lightning source
Yeah.
every
So,
single time.
yep. So that's who they go to. So what I did is I reached out to Lightning Source or excuse me, Ingram, not Lightning Source, because Ingram owns Lightning Source. And I simply said, hey, are you anticipating through their customer support line an increase in prices? Do I need to order books now or not? Because I don't go through them, but I was just trying to get a gist on it. And they went ahead and they did the standard candy amount. We're monitoring the situation. We'll notify our customers in well enough time for them to get underneath any anticipated price changes, yada, yada, yada. So even Ingram, who operates Lightning Source, is not saying, warning, warning, Will Robinson, you know?
So
So,
this goes back to my earlier point that you know the barrel of oil price changed, and magically the same day the gas. So it kind of
yeah,
feels like the gas station went. You know what? Nobody's going to blame us for jacking the price today because they just heard in the news that
yeah.
ooh, the big bad tariffs, Orange Man bad is coming with tariffs, and we
Yeah.
got to raise our prices. Nobody's smart enough to pay attention. And I kind of feel like, I want to wear the tinfoil hat a little bit here and go, there's a little bit of a, not
Oh,
conspiracy, but
oh, I got
around.
the Reynolds wrap right out here with you, buddy. I 100% want to wrap my head in it because
Yeah,
everyone that, and the thing is, keep in mind, you know, talking to my rep in China and talking to the other rep in Canada, Canada is definitively not happy with us.
sure.
Okay.
I
Um,
get
but on the same token, you also have to keep in mind that, it's a commodity. So, you know, you can go to mills out of Washington State, as an example, in Oregon and purchase paper. So you can buy US based paper. The major paper supplier in North America, out of the three of them, two of them are located in Canada, one's located in the United States. Um, Andrew Miller, real quickly. Andrew, thank you for tuning in. Says maybe they're giving their employees a pay raise to cover the cost of inflation.
that. Okay.
Andrew, give me your address. We got a case of tinfoil for you, my friend, because I don't believe that they would be given a raise like that. Because
Yeah.
you said you got the email. What was the percentages? I don't have it in front of me because I'm doing some printing.
Oh, I never opened it. I just
Oh,
noted that there was an email from, because
yeah,
I'm a publisher on drive-through. I
yeah,
just noted that there was, I ignore my email a lot.
yeah.
They say,
Well,
look at the
I think Tencar said it was something. I mean, like upward. I mean, it was in the double digit percentages, and it
yeah,
was really weird. It was like, color versus black and white, and color was less
yeah, which
affected
was
than
odd. You could do
yeah,
one be more expensive than the other, and that didn't seem to make any sense.
exactly.
Paper.
Yeah, because my
Here's
worry was,
confused.
yeah, because my worry was is that if there's going to be a price raise come April 1st, I want to get some paper in before I have to absorb 25 freaking percent.
Yeah,
That's $250 on $1,000 order, on $1,000 worth of order.
yeah,
You know, and so, and they were just like, nah, don't worry about it. In Canada, the only thing my rep in Canada was worried about was Canadian government's response to the tariffs. They're not worried about the tariffs coming at Canada. They're worried about the tariffs being levied by Canada on the United States. Because some of these paper mills, although the paper or the tree and pulp industry booms in Canada, especially Western Canada, you know, um, they still get a lot of their pulp from the pulp mills in Oregon and Washington State,
yeah.
and they're just really half cocked about that, going, oh,
That could
and
affect them.
yeah. So, and then you take a look at the cross markets, which are the lumber markets, and I looked at them this morning, and the lumber markets, although with the Dow they're doing this, but that's more in response to the instability in the general market because let's face it, there's fears of a recession. When there's fears of a recession, there's uncertainty. Uncertainty makes the markets do this kind of crap.
Yeah, you
So,
get the constant.
yeah. So the question becomes, I guess, essentially, and me and Tom want to make this video short for everybody. We didn't want to stay on here for an hour. We're almost done. Is so the question becomes, why would drive through RPG when I know for a fact Lightning Source is not telling them, watch out, your prices are going up 40%, 25%. Watch out. Oh my God. Why are they raising their prices like they are? And I think, I mean, and keep in mind, I love the website. I think that they help a lot of people out. And I'm not just doing this because we're putting out an alternative. I'm saying that I just think that unless they're getting some type of top secret information that Ingram's not sharing, that the Canadian mills aren't sharing with anybody, which I highly doubt,
Right.
then I really don't see a reason why they're jacking the prices like they are, especially starting. I forget the date, but it's like coming up very quickly.
Yep. Well, I think it's just I think it's just you, you always, it's human nature to look for opportunities to line your pocket a little bit. And I remember during Trump's first presidency, there was a cut in taxes, And so everybody was like, "Ooh!" Well, at the same time there was a cut in taxes, the town raised property taxes,
Hmm.
and so it was like no change.
Yeah.
There was no change ultimately. Yeah, oh yeah, well you got to cut in taxes, but property, property taxes went up, which gets, and you can say, well, I don't own a house. Well, yeah, you rent, so guess what? It gets
Yeah,
passed on.
because like yeah, because like locally they raise property taxes, they raise water sewer rates here. You know, so but I just don't understand the mechanic of it because I produce games, I buy paper, I buy ink, I buy the consumables, and I actually made a post to that effect about a week ago, week and a half ago. Another publisher basically told me I had it all wrong. He doesn't make his own games. He doesn't buy paper from China and Canada and consumables. And I tried to explain to him that, you know, it you just don't get notified, oh, there's going to be tariffs. Boom, okay. You don't know how those tariffs are going to affect the market. And again, it's very well possible what could very happen is the pulp market, they could go in their infinite wisdom through their trading and everything and say, we're going to go ahead and this is probably going to bring a price drop because of the tariffs. So if you are up here and you have a price drop and then there's a tariff landed on top of it, you could very well like either come out at the same level or slightly above. But this guy, like a lot of people say, are thinking, oh, it's going to add 25% to the cost of ink and paper. Some ways, yes, drive through RPG. But realistically, probably what's going to end up happening is you're probably going to see, because there's a lack of confidence, a drop in prices because there'll be an increase in demand because
I
people are going to want to buy paper.
I think it's I think it's the Watsy syndrome of we're under monetized. We need to monetize more. And
Well,
oh, Trump's dropping tariffs. Nobody's going to blame us. We're going to raise prices 25%.
but the thing is, and
Blame
this is
Trump.
something people,
Why not? I mean, he's a good punching bag.
this is the thing about in general the paper market versus consumables and stuff. When you buy it at the wholesale market level, not going down to Staples or Kinko's Copy and buying a case of paper. I'm talking about when you buy it at pallet level,
Right.
at
Which I
what they
know
call
you're good.
market wholesale, your margins on paper are actually pretty damn good. And I'm going to be in, just as an example, it's the equivalent of 8.5 by 11, 28-pound paper runs about $50 a case at Staples.
Right.
If you go ahead and you buy it palletized wholesale market level, you can buy the equivalent of that $50 case of paper for about 14 bucks.
Which is big.
So big savings, but you're buying it at pallet level. They're much larger
Yeah.
sheets.
Well,
And you
you're,
just
you're
can't, you have to have a use for
Costco
them.
and BJ's on steroids level there.
Yes.
You
So
know,
it's the same thing with toner ink. When you go down and you go to some place like My Binding and you buy ink toner as an example, and you got to buy a toner cartridge because I run 12 color press, so I have to buy 12 different colors.
mm,
It's like that's $3,000 for a set of ink. But if you buy it by the pallet or what they call the quarter pallet, I can get, instead of spending $3,000 on a set of ink, I can sit there and get that for about $950 for a full set. A hell of a savings. But you're
right.
buying a lot of it, so you better use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got to invest a certain amount of money to get your price down to make
Yeah.
what you're doing profitable.
And I think that's what's going to happen with the paper industry. I think what you're going to find is, let's just say worst case scenario, Trump fires off these tariffs and they go. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a run on paper because people want to get it bought up. And keep in mind, every 2 months is when the new paper commodity forecasts come out. So it'll be interesting. Matter of fact, right now, it is sitting at a all-time low since April of 2024 is when it was at, let me back up. March of 2024 was the last time that it was lower than January of 2025. It had a steady increase peaking out at August. So that's another way of looking at this is how come August over the summer it had such a high spike? Didn't increase any prices anywhere. Drive Through RPG didn't announce price increases, and it's been slowly dropping. Probably the new forecast is going to cause a spike. I
Right.
anticipate it, but those are market forecasts. So what's going to happen is with that market anticipated market release in 2 days, what will happen is you might have a run on paper, and if you have a run on paper, then increase will demand, and you'll see the prices fluctuate. So interesting times. I'm interested to see what Drive Through RPG does, and I'm really interested to see what happens if the tariffs do not go through. Will Drive Through RPG say, "Hey, we don't have to raise our prices now"? So, but I'll tell you one thing: our prices are not
Because
increasing.
of the kindness of our heart.
Yeah, but we're not raising prices because we've been pretty much my meetings with both those groups pretty much made me feel better. Yes, I think there's going to be an increase in paper costs, but I think they will adjust via market their wholesale costs to absorb some or a lot of the tariff because they know, you know, they don't want, the American mills, as example, saying, yeah, you're going to pay the same price in China as with us, but you don't have all that shipping with us. Come to us, type thing. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
usually how it goes, once you're with somebody, they got you. You're going to stick with them. And they in China and Canada know that. So who knows? We'll find out. But I honestly, and I'm not trying to hate on Drive Through RPG. I buy product from them. Joe Block stuff
I have an account.
yeah. But the thing is, I think it's really unfortunate that they're doing this right now because they just don't have a basis
I
realistically, unless they're just going off hype.
I'm gonna stake out the position. It's a convenient excuse.
Yeah.
You know, punch on Trump, blame Trump. We're raising prices, tariffs. Convenient excuse
Well,
that's not backed up by any of the facts in the market,
well,
and
so
so
far, I'm
it's
going to
just profiteering on their part.
yeah, and I'm going to keep an eye because again, the new paper futures are released on the 13th at about between 8:30 and 9 a.m. They get released, so um, that'll be Thursday, and we can actually Thursday night when we're talking about other stuff, we'll real quickly just take a quick 5 minute dive and say this is what was done, and then we'll show a graphic at where it's at based on January.
Cool,
So,
cool
all right.
beans.
Anything
All right.
else, Tom?
No, that's pretty much it. I
Okay.
gotta go. I gotta go do a thing, but glad we cut this short.
Yep. Just want to keep it
And
short.
again, I have no faith in big corporations
I don't either.
to do the
I
right
don't
thing or
either.
to do a good thing.
Oh,
They
come on.
usually,
Do you think they're going to gouge the public? Tom.
I mean, Watsy, we're under monetized.
Oh,
we gotta monetize more. Let's
yeah.
lay people off at Christmas.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. I am Don,
And I'm Tom,
and this is
and
the
this.
vlog of many things. And we'll catch you guys Thursday. With us will be Eric and Steve then. Talk to you guys later.
All right.